What's going on, everybody? It's so good to see you on what was going to be our midweek live at 5 yesterday, which is rescheduled to today at 5 o'clock. So hope that you can still hop on here with me, and let's hang out for a few minutes and talk about our next character in the Bible as all of our parents are getting off of work. So we're going to hang out for a little bit. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to hop on here and get in here with us before I get started, because I want to give you a minute to watch me live. But if you don't get that opportunity, that's okay too, because of course you can watch later. So just a quick note as I do wait for people to hop in. Normally we have trivia on Thursdays, right? But because of the shifting in schedules, we will not have that today. So you got to hold on until next week. I know. So I'm trying to remember. I think the Price family. The Reeds are the reigning champions. So the Reeds get 2 weeks as the reigning champs. So see you next week for that. Sabrina, what's going on? Good to see you today, guys. Don't forget to like and share this, and so all of our friends can watch with me. I'm actually at the office today. We are doing a little bit of work, getting ready to see you this weekend for one of our 3 services at 8:30, 10, or 11:30. So if you have not done that, I encourage you to go to our website and register. The first 2 services are full, so jump into that 11:30 service if you haven't done it yet, because they will fill up quickly. But so excited to see all of you guys, all my Hill Kids friends, and even the parents out there, everybody. So excited to see you this week. It has been tough not being with you guys. So, and Pastor Austin will be up doing a children's moment during our service, and we will continue our talk about the Lord's Prayer even on Sunday in Big Church. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure you are here. It's going to be safe, and it's going to be clean, but we're also going to have a great time worshiping Jesus. So we will see you this weekend. All right. So let's talk for a few minutes about our Bible character tonight. If you remember from last week, we left off talking about Nehemiah. And we talked about how he had a mission from God. He felt like God had called him to rebuild the walls around Jerusalem. And he got a team together, and they rebuilt the walls in 52 days. It was pretty crazy. But they had some naysayers along the way, some people who were negative, some people who told them they couldn't do it. Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem. They were being negative people, telling Nehemiah why he was wasting his time and would never be able to do it. But Nehemiah just kind of wrote them off, tuned them out, quit listening to them, and they were able to do what they'd set out to do, to build the walls, because that's what God had called him to do. And so we talked about, you may have dreams and goals and things you feel like God has called you to do, or dreams you want to chase. And we just talked about the story of Nehemiah. It encourages us to chase our dreams and to tune out all the negative naysayers, because somebody's always going to be hating, right? Somebody's always got something negative to say. So sometimes you just got to tune it out. Well, tonight we are going to talk about Queen Esther. We're going to talk about a female character in the Bible tonight. If you didn't know, only 2 books of the Bible named after women. You have Esther and you have Ruth. And so tonight we are going to talk about Queen Esther. Some of you may know her story, some of you may not. Some give you kind of the rundown, the summary of Queen Esther's story, and talk about just one little lesson that we can take away from that tonight. So you can find this story. I know this is going to be shocking, but you can find it in the book of Esther. I know, shocking, right? That you can find her story in the book that's named after her. But that's where you can find this if you want to read about her. It's an awesome story. And girls always love this one. But guys, it's a story we can learn some stuff from too. Nikki, what's up? John Velo, what's going on? Good to see everybody on here for just a few minutes. All right. So Esther was a Jew. She was one of God's chosen people. And one day, she was very beautiful girl. You have to know this. Esther was very beautiful and gorgeous. And so one day she won a beauty contest. And the king, she found favor with the king. He just thought she was awesome. And so he chose her to be his queen, which is like unheard of, that the king of Persia would choose a Jew to be his queen. That was just something you didn't do. The queen of Persia should also be of a Persian, right? She should be the same kind of people that the king is. But the king chose a Jew to be the queen. The problem was the king did not know that Esther was a Jew. So she kind of kept that hush-hush. It was a secret because there would be a threat that her life could be in danger if he found out that she was a Jew. Bethany Briggs, what's up? Elizabeth K, what's going on? Good to see y'all. And so Esther kept this hush, hush. Now, Esther was an orphan. She was left by her parents, and so at a young age, and so it's very unlikely that she, an orphan that people had just forgotten about, would be queen. God brought her a long way. But in her life, she was adopted, really, by her cousin, and his name was Mordecai. You don't see a lot of people named Mordecai anymore, so he's got a cool name. But Mordecai adopted Esther, and he took care of her. And when she was the queen, her and Mordecai would talk a lot. And so Mordecai and Esther found out something pretty scary. Now, before I go any further, I want you to type in, if it can be short or long, what has been the scariest moment of your life? Like the one thing that happened to you, and it was like, you're like, Pastor Austin, that was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Ever. I was terrified. I want to hear your stories for a minute before we continue with Esther's story. Maybe it was a tornado, like bad weather, a hurricane. Right? We've had some tornadoes here lately, and they were pretty scary. So that could be a time in our life where we just thought we were terrified. Or it could be maybe what Pastor Austin shared a story with you guys, I think it was a week or two ago, where I got stuck in an upside down like simulator thing. Like I was flying and I got stuck upside down. Yeah, that was pretty scary. Another time in my life where I was very scared, speaking of flying, when I worked at Chick-fil-A, I had a friend of mine, Miss Shirley. So if Shirley ever watches this, Shirley, miss you and love you very much. Miss Shirley and I, really she wanted to fly in a plane. She wanted to take a plane tour of the city that we lived in. And her husband was scared to get in the plane. So me as her friend at work, she thought it would be a good idea to ask me to take this plane tour with her. And if you don't already know this, Pastor Austin is terrified of heights. And so I reluctantly, I was just kind of like, I don't know. But I agreed to do it. And so we took a plane tour of Greenville, flying around in the air, thousands of feet up. And when we were up at like flying 2,000 feet in the air, the pilot who was flying just told me, he said, all right, buddy, Austin, you want to fly this plane for a little bit? And I could feel my heart drop and start beating faster and faster. I was like, yeah, sure. So I actually flew the plane for a little bit. And yep, I made it all the way until we took one really big like jerk from turbulence, and I was good. Passed that back on over to the pilot. So it was pretty scary, but fun too at the same time. But probably the most scared I've ever been in my life. Nikki says, I got caught in an undertow at the beach. Yes, I can bet that was terrifying. Gabriel's ICU asthma, absolutely scary. Miss Gloria, good to see you. So we've all had some pretty scary moments in our life. But Esther was terrified because she was worried that if the king found out that she was a Jew, she would be killed. She'd be killed. He would do away with her. But Mordecai and Esther found out a plan, a pretty scary plan from this guy named Haman. Haman was a bad guy. No good. Haman wanted to get rid of all of the Jews. He wanted to kill all of them. He didn't think that they should be around. They were just got in the way. They were no good, and so life would be better without the Jews. That's the way Haman thought. So he wanted to get rid of them. And Esther was stuck in the middle because she had influence with the king, right? She was his queen, so maybe she could talk to the king, but she was scared to do it because the only people who could talk to the king were the people that the king pointed his scepter at, his big, long, probably golden pole that he would carry around. If he pointed at you, you could approach him and talk to him. So she was scared to do it. And she knew, but the right thing to do was to talk to him and try and save her people, to save her family, one big family. They were all God's people, all family. And Mordecai came to her, and he said these famous words, and it's probably the most famous verse in the book of Esther. He looks at Esther and he says, Esther, perhaps this was the moment for which you have been created. Perhaps this is the moment God put you here on earth. Maybe this is the reason God has made you the queen, that you can save your people. Maybe this is why God did that. And it was like, for that moment, a light bulb went off in Esther's head, and she was like, okay, maybe it is why God has put me here. And so the queen and the king, Queen Esther, the king, and Haman are all at a festival. Actually, they're at 2 feasts. And at the second one, the king asks Esther, he says, what can I do for you? Is there anything that I can do? And Queen Esther takes a big step of faith. She was scared, but she said, yes, king, there is. I have found out that there's a plot. There's a plan to kill my people. Like, we're going to die. And he says, oh my goodness, that's horrible. What can I do to help you? Who is behind this plan? Because we're going to find out. We're going to do something about that. And she says Haman is behind this plan. He has a secret plan to kill all of us. And so Haman thought that he was going to kill all of God's people, but God used Esther to spoil that plan and ruin it. And actually, Haman ended up dying. The king put Haman to death instead of Haman killing all of God's people. It turned around on Haman in a hurry. But you say, Pastor Austin, what can we learn from that? It's a cool story. Maybe you've watched videos on it before. I remember growing up, there was a VeggieTales about at Queen Esther, and it's really good. I enjoyed that. I watched that lots of times on VHS. And all of you watching have no idea what a VHS is, but I watched it tons of times. And so the story of Esther is a great reminder to all of us that, for 2 reasons. First off, Haman had a plan to take out God's people, didn't he? He was going to ruin them and kill them, but Queen Esther stopped that plan. And the enemy, the devil, has a plan to take you and me out, but God sent Jesus here to ruin that plan, to die for us on the cross, to save us, and Jesus ruined the enemy's plan to kill us, just like Esther ruined Haman's plan to kill all of God's people. So that's one way we can find Jesus in this story, because Queen Esther saved her people just like Jesus has saved us. But also it's a reminder, what was that phrase that Mordecai said to Queen Esther? He said, perhaps this is the moment for which you have been created. Perhaps this is the time, this is the purpose, this is the reason God has put you on earth. All of us, no matter how old or young we are, no matter if we're a boy or a girl, God has put us on this earth right now for a reason. If he would have wanted you to live 100 years ago, he would have put you on earth 100 years ago. But instead, he wanted you on earth right now in the middle of a virus where we've had to be social distance and life has been hard. He has put you here for a reason. Maybe he's put you here for a reason and in the family that you're in, because maybe they don't know Jesus, but you can be a light to your family. You say, why am I in this family? Nobody loves Jesus except me. Nobody really wants to watch church online except me. And maybe I'm the only one in my house that prays a lot or reads my Bible. Maybe that's why you are in this position. It's because you can be a light. You can show Jesus to your family. You can show Jesus to your friends. Guys, we are all put on this earth for a reason. Perhaps this is the moment for which we have been created. So, whatever it is that you maybe feel like God has wanted you to do, or maybe you've questioned why things are going on in your life, it's because God has a purpose for everything. He has never created us and put us on earth, nobody that has ever lived, and not had a purpose for them. God has a purpose for you, for me, and for everybody. We just have to figure out what that purpose and plan is, and he will use us to do great and awesome things for him. Just like he used Esther, who was an orphan, had no parents, and was very unlikely. She was a Jew. There's no way she should have been queen, but God made her the queen. And so God has awesome plans for you and I. And so let's remember that today through this story of Queen Esther. You're right, John. It is a great story. Nikki, Alex knows a VHS. We still have a working VHS player. Awesome. Carrying on yeah, we're teaching them right. That's right. They should all know what a VHS player is and the joys of rewinding and playing it all back and all that stuff. It's great. So, Al, good to see you. Tristan, glad you hopped on. So, going to go back and finish up a couple of things we got going here at the church to make sure we are ready for Sunday. Don't forget, if you have not signed up yet, 8:30, 10, and 11:30. The 8:30 and the 10 are full. So make sure that you sign up for the 11:30 service if you have not done so yet, because we want to see you here. What's a VHS? Yes, that's what most of the people on this video are wondering, probably. Or all the kids that watch later will wonder this. So, guys, it was awesome to hang out with you for just a few minutes. Good to see you. Don't forget, when you do watch, like it, share it, and so all of our Hill Kids friends can catch this story of Esther tonight. God has a plan for you. Don't forget, this is the moment for which you have been created. So, hope you all have a great Thursday, and we'll see you later.